Where the fuck are you? Son of a bitch. Is that on? Oh shit, that's on. Hey, how you doing? Why is that recording? Oh, this son of a bitch gave me more shit to do. How you doing? I'm apparently back in action. Apparently there's more shit here to do. I didn't plan this. The other fucker did. The fedora, you know that guy. Weirdo, ain't he? On a real though, I think there's honestly a good reason as to why I have to do these film rankings. More so specifically, Jurassic Park. You see, Jurassic Park recently just had its 30th anniversary back in like June or July. Unfortunately, I seemingly missed it because I was doing the whole Teacher Rex gimmick thing on this channel with like serious talks. And so, you know, I completely was not focused on that to be specific, but apparently that was a thing that happened, and so now, you know, before the year ends, I'm going to be ranking the films of Jurassic Park. And now, if you know anything about the Jurassic Park films, ranking these films is not challenging in the slightest, because let's just say these films are not the best. So without any hesitation, the bottom, the worst Jurassic Park film, easily, without even a second question of a doubt, is Jurassic World Dominion. What the fuck were they thinking when they made this film? After several years of building up the plot line of dinosaurs on the homeland, roaming around, and possibly even making a horror movie out of that concept, they instead decided to isolate the dinosaurs in one particular gated area and focus the story more so on bugs. Why they decided to do that baffles my mind, but for some reason they decided, oh, let's get all the original crew on this train as well, because why the fuck not? You know, nostalgia, everything is nostalgia these days. Hey, look, it's nostalgia. Don't you like nostalgia? Well, eventually nostalgia dies out, and then what? You got shit on the plate. What are you gonna do with shit? Nothing. This film just meanders through a bunch of predictable plot lines, various convoluted storylines that make no fucking sense as to why they decided to take this direction. Apparently the main storyline for Owen and the other two bitches is that they have to go and save the baby velociraptor. Apparently Blue had a baby. Who the fuck cares? Then you have Alan Grant, who is studying on, I believe, locusts, and specifically this locust feast that happened where they're like oversized old bugs. I don't fucking remember, man. It was so bad that I don't fucking remember. All I know is that they go to different towns. Apparently there's dinosaurs in some towns, but they're like government trained now instead of like feral savages. It's so fucking stupid. All the action scenes are so fucking stupid with the dinosaurs. They make it try to seem like it's so cool, but it's really not, because all the fucking action set pieces are so poorly executed and is so predictable, and nothing is interesting in the slightest. None of the new characters introduced do I give a shit about. None of the old characters' story arcs do I give a shit about. And it really doesn't make sense in the plotline of Jurassic World trilogy. If they were going to follow the whole storyline of this Jurassic World trilogy that they were having, why didn't they focus on the storyline of finally putting these dinosaurs down for good? Killing these dinosaurs, getting rid of them, ending the franchise by killing off the dinosaurs. You could have had a whole plot line of Owen being hesitant to kill Blue, but finally putting the old Yeller down. But no, we got this random ass storyline with random ass returns. Apparently Dotson, we got Dotson here! He comes back for some reason, and apparently he's the big villain, which who the fuck cares? Honestly, he dies in the same way Ned did, but a lot stupider, I guess. There's so many decisions in this. They try to make it look cool. Everything just falls flat. There's no better way for me to describe it, honestly, because you gotta watch it to like truly understand like how they so fucked up everything. Everything, just, you don't give a shit. Henry, you don't care about him. Nobody. I just don't feel like this movie's special at all, and I have no reason to want to revisit this film because it's so bad. You had a perfect concept right here. Dinosaurs, homeland, savagery, going into houses, killing people, the carnivores, velociraptors sneaking around in the city, killing off people. You gotta kill off the dinosaurs. So many cool concepts, and you finally have it, and you fucking waste it. Stupid. Fuck this movie. Coming in at 5th place is going to be Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Initially, when I first watched it, I enjoyed it a lot more than I did on rewatch. Because on rewatch is when I really started to like get an understanding of, wait a minute, none of this really makes any fucking sense now, does it? It was cool and all to see the dinosaurs like trying to run away from the volcano and getting captured and brought into this like auction to sell off the dinosaurs and all that. But there's so many poor decision making in this movie too that I didn't think Dominion could get worse than Fallen Kingdom. Because Dominion was so bad, it makes Fallen Kingdom even worse, because Fallen Kingdom was seemingly that one sequel that's utilized to like kickstart the 3rd movie in the trilogy, and this was supposed to take the fall, no pun intended, and Dominion took it an even further fall, so it's like, well shit, I'm falling even more. Fallen Kingdom has a clone girl for some reason. John Hammond had a best friend that never existed until now because we need a plot line, and he gets smothered out by this random guy who looks like the Free Guy and devoid of any kind of personality except for I do bad things for big money. It's such a forgettable film. I mean, there's some great action sequences like with Owen in the T-Rex pen, as well as with them trying to escape the volcano before it erupts and before they melt from the lava, but everything else is just like 4 story beats to get to a forced plot line of these dinosaurs being sold at an auction. And then of course you have another hybrid dinosaur, which might I add, in Dominion they didn't have a hybrid dinosaur at all. They just had a regular fucking dinosaur, and apparently it's supposed to go toe to toe with a T-Rex and be cool. That sucked. But then you have the Indoraptor here, which is supposedly like the Indominus Rex, but is more raptor, so it's like even more clever. But you would think that because it's more clever, that it'd be more dangerous, much more scary, and much more intimidating to the main characters. And yet it's a lot more stupid than the Indominus Rex, and it's a lot more goofy than the Indominus Rex. It does this Looney Tunes shit with its tail at one point, like waving around, hey, look at my tail. And then for some reason, I know this is like especially noticed in Dominion, but in this film you could just tell that there's a lot more of like a PG push. Like all the kills and all the specialty that you come to see a Jurassic Park film, if it not for the story, is not here. Like all the kills feel weak and feel like they've been like toned down for kids' sakes, which makes no fucking sense because they went all out in every other Jurassic Park, and for some reason now they're only deciding to do the whole kid angle, which, you know how I said every single time with every single franchise, you decide to start making and gearing your franchise and story towards children, you automatically get rid of all your adult audience. I will say this forever, and that is that kids get older. Adults don't get younger. Why you would decide to gear your franchise towards kids when it was for mature audiences and families at first makes no fucking sense to me, and will continue as a marketing campaign and business decision to not make any fucking sense to me. And obviously it harmed this movie a lot more with it tried to be more comedic and childish with its tone, and it just didn't fucking work. And then Dominion fell flat on its face with those tones. It just doesn't fucking work. Businesses, you just need to focus on telling a good story in the same vein as you always had. Don't fucking change it to try and reel in those TikTokers, get the likes and stuff. No, fuck them. Fuck them. They suck. They'll always like anything. You give them anything, they'll make a meme out of it. Give the actual people who want to go see a good story, a good time, have fun, something of substance, please. Coming in at 4th place is going to be Jurassic Park: The Lost World, the second Jurassic Park, which is a lot more criticized than I thought it was when I first, used to watch it all the time. I used to binge watch the trilogy all the fucking time, and a lot of people seemingly hated the second one, and I could see some reasons why. It's definitely a lot more of a drag than most of the Jurassic Park movies because of all the different plot lines they're trying to do and all the different directions they're trying to take it. I always found the part where they start to pick off the soldiers to be where things start to pick up a lot more, but definitely that first half of the movie feels like we're doing the same steps over again. Also isn't really all that interesting or special, especially considering the amount of deleted scenes they had, the amount of content they had to cut that removes a lot of the character arcs. When things start to go haywire, they just don't explain how or why the T-Rex just suddenly escapes, why the boat crew is suddenly just dead. All in all, it felt like they had too much on their plate to fully execute, and they should have focused their story on one thing first and then built up the second thing for the sequel movie. But they didn't do that, so I do have to criticize the movie for it, but I do have some things that I enjoy from The Lost World. The most important one, of course, being Ian as the main character. Of course, when you have a character who's very logical, who's very straight to the point, who knows all the situations when shit is about to hit the fan, you want a character like Ian on your side, and Ian was a blast throughout the entire movie, every single step of the way, and I enjoyed it. Coming in at third place is going to be Jurassic Park 3. Now, this is one of those sequels that instead of just taking itself seriously, it just decides to have a fun time with its concept. It doesn't really care about story all too much. It just takes what you like about the concept and just makes it entertaining as all fucking hell. And I like when some movies actually do that, because it does give a fresh breath of air when they know they fucked up already and so they just have to make another sequel. This is a good way to make just another sequel. Just have a blast with it, just have a good time, entertainment all around. Jurassic Park 3 is exactly that. And it's also a movie that came out during the 2000s, and something that I will always say is that with movies, video games, or even music that came out in the 2000s era, there's always this kind of like unique campy cheese to those kind of movies that just really like sticks with you because of how unique and weird and yet special it feels for that time period. Every single decade has like some kind of specialty to it. Everyone talks about how the 80s is like all the cool horror movies came out. The 90s is when all the meta comedy came out. And then the 2000s, I think, is when like all this campy, cheesy movies and games and music would come out, where it just had that style to it where it was taken seriously, but it was also doing some campy, like goofy stuff, not in the way that it was over the top trying to make you laugh, ha ha ha, but rather it was just like weird but in a funny way. I can't describe the kind of camp or cheese, but if you grew up in the 2000s with any kind of movie, with any kind of game, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say 2000s campy cheese. And Jurassic Park 3 is like in that perfect mold of the campy cheese, where it has a new big bad in the Spinosaurus, and you have Alan Grant coming back with all these new characters, and you could just tell throughout this entire movie that even though the plot is trying to take itself seriously at times, they're just trying to have fun with it as well. There's so many moments and memorable scenes that are kind of like back to back to back to back action that just make this such a blast to watch, to where never do I find myself getting bored with watching this movie. I always find it entertaining, even though the story is not the greatest. The entertainment value is just top notch for a Jurassic Park film, and I always have a good time watching this movie. And there's just also a lot of fucking funny, hilarious moments in this movie. I especially also enjoy the kid character. I think that more kid characters should be like Eric, who is not like a retard, but rather a kid who can actually, be of use. I like when characters have use and are not just useless. Otherwise, then why am I watching them? Eric being this kid who has been stranded on this island for weeks on end and has found his own way to somehow survive for this long and to be of assistance to the characters, I think was very great, and I love the fact that they made him a lot more intelligent than most kids. It works much better for the story at hand, especially the entertainment at hand as well. Coming in at second place is going to be Jurassic World. Now, Jurassic World, when I first watched it, I had a blast with it, and to this day I still do have a blast with it. Obviously though, some things didn't age as well, more so specifically the kid characters and their storyline is not as intriguing as Owen and the red hair chick, Claire. Claire. I'm gonna go with Claire. I still don't know the bitch's name. But I found that going back to the whole park aesthetic and actually having the park be filled with people this time around to add to that terror, to add to that tension of when the dinosaurs actually break out, people can actually get fucked up no matter where they go. You have one character who gets tossed around by pterodactyls and then eaten by a fucking mosasaur, which, holy fucking shit, if there is one way to kill a character, that is how you do it. I don't care what character it was still a fucking cool kill though. Then of course you have the Indominus Rex, which is supposed to be this hybrid dinosaur and the main threat of the movie, which finally making the dinosaur the main focal point villain of any story is automatically better than any kind of like shoehorn villain that they decide to add in. That's why movies like Jurassic Park 1 and Jurassic Park 3 were so interesting, is because they had dinosaur main villains rather than human main villains, and that made for a lot better storytelling overall. Especially in just like monster movies in general, when you have a human main villain in a monster movie, that just doesn't hit the same, because you want to see the monster, not the fucking shitty person, you know? And the Indominus Rex does not hold back. I fucking love this dinosaur, and more so specifically how they kept the dinosaur consistent throughout the entire runtime, with it being a imposing threat, with it having all these abilities and techniques to hunt and kill its prey, and going around always trying to track down Owen and these kids, to the point where they even have to train velociraptors to be on their side. But of course the Indominus Rex is part of Velociraptor, so that turns against them. And there's so many like cool things that at the time would have been just fucking stupid and insane with Jurassic Park, but now with like hindsight, seeing how Fallen Kingdom and Dominion just ran crazy with that concept, Jurassic World is a lot better with how it utilizes it and with how it keeps it much more realistic to what the story is about, because Owen actually raised these raptors since they were little tiny babies, which of course makes it a lot more understandable that they would listen to him and they would follow his command than anything else that happens later on in the franchise. And so you have all these different cool action scenes with all these different dinosaurs doing their own different mayhems, and it just makes for a blast of a movie. Obviously story wise, it is just badass character and scientist chick must team up to figure out a way to stop the mayhem type of movie, with some kids thrown in there because, you know, you have to have stakes. But the stakes were high, and that fucking final battle, I don't care what you say, Velociraptor, T-Rex, and Mosasaur attack on Indominus Rex is still gonna be badass and much greater and better than anything that Fallen Kingdom or Dominion could even accomplish. But of course, I don't think anyone can argue when I say that Jurassic Park is easily the best of the entire franchise. This is one of those movies where many people could argue that it should have been a one and done. Me personally, I think it could have been done as a trilogy if they had better writers for, you know, a direction of what they should have done with 2 and 3. But, you know, it is what it is. The first movie, however, just got all the elements of what this movie should be about right. It has the mystique, it has the aesthetics of having these dinosaurs back alive and in person, seeing how this fucking happened, trying to figure out like what kind of science went into bringing back this extinct species and how it all came together and how they decided to utilize that as a theme park and how that could possibly go wrong, and all the different elements of life and philosophy in regards to the dinosaurs, and whether is it morally good to have these dinosaurs back, or is it going to be a big threat. And when this hurricane comes along and starts causing some mayhem, as well as this other character who's trying to steal to make a profit, it starts to create a conflict on the island where the dinosaurs do start to escape and the characters do have to start surviving for their lives and start to see the threat of what can truly be at stake in an uncontrollable environment like this. And it just made for a great, unique, special movie. And the very important thing about this movie that I think needs to be heard, that some of the other sequels just don't fucking understand, is that this movie knows exactly how to tell and focus on its story, on its mature themes, and not deviate into the whole, ooh, dinosaurs are cool aspect, because it manages to do the whole dinosaurs are cool aspect whilst focusing on its story. The dinosaurs complement the story, and the story complements the dinosaurs, which is something that the later sequels sequels doesn't know how to do properly. And that is what makes this original Jurassic Park so special, so unique, and easily for me the best in the franchise. But what about y'all? If you have a different ranking somehow, some way, some reason, leave it in the comments. But I think a lot of people probably have a similar or probably the same kind of ranking. Usually the only ones that I hear are swapped around are like second, third, and fourth place movies get swapped around a bit. But for me, this is going to be my ranking of the Jurassic Park list, and that's going to be all today. I guess I have a few more film rankings to do because that's what Rex decided to do. No, not the fucking T-Rex. A-Rex. He left me a list of shit to do. Anyway, I'm gonna head off. Arrivederci, bitch ass motherfuckers.